And the quarterback coach is actually a guy named Tom Arth. Tom Arth was in the quarterback.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We've been expecting you.
In the offseason.
This is the Friday, June 6th edition of the Todd Allbaugh Show. We're a couple minutes away from kicking it off. And today, we'll be spending some time with Brady Ewing to talk about sports and positivity. And in the second hour, we're going to have E-Bomb's World Managing Editor Peter Rapine to talk about the crazy garbage that real people do.
Mixed skies today.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. Looking forward to it in nervous anticipation.
Cloudy, lows falling to the mid-50s. And tomorrow, a repeat of today. And
also,
Sunday,
there's a lot of things happening in the news that we will talk about.
There's a lot of things happening.
As well. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
The soap scientists have found a way to incorporate Sydney Sweeney's actual bath water into the soap. What if she doesn't smell good? I know she's beautiful.
What if it smells terrible?
What if she stinks? And no one is going to tell her that because she's Sydney Sweeney. Here's an open invitation to Sydney Sweeney. Come by the Nightlight Studios. I'll smell you and let you know if this is a good product.
Maybe drop off,
and give us a few bucks.
Yeah. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. The John and Gordy Show.
We have quite a selection of hearing aids. Bluetooth, of course, and AI. We're Android robots.
You've been assimilated into the Borg.
We are into the Borg. Be kind of cool.
The Borg hearing aid. All right.
If they haven't, we should latch on to that.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer on the board. It is a TGIF edition, June 6th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. And no, Zommers and I have not broken up as host and producer, but yes, it's a special a Musk-Trump edition of the first half hour of the show today. Zommers, how are you?
Doing well. Doing a lot better than either Donald Trump or Elon Musk, that's for sure.
Yes. The front page of the New York Post, I believe, had a heart with Trump on one side, Musk on the other, divided like a broken heart. And the headline was something like, "I'm not getting back with my ex."
Or on AP.
Pretty good.
On AP News, they said that the Trump-Musk relationship was much like a SpaceX rocket.
Yes. Hey, it took off with lots of force and then it blew up.
Yeah, headline, or as they call it, a rapid unscheduled disassembly.
The lead of the year. We're going to get into that. Take a look at why maybe this rift all started right here in the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin voters might be responsible for this big breakup out in D.C. There's a serious side to this as well. We'll explore that, but a huge show today. Hope you stick around. Really fun show. Take a look at these headlines. Also on the serious side, today is D-Day. Marks the invasion or the military operation onto the beaches of Normandy by our great boys, as they were known back then, our great men, that many of whom gave their lives so that they could begin to end World War II. We'll take a look back at that with iconic 60 Minutes commentator Andy Rudy. Really hope you stick around for that. At the bottom of the hour, Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion for the Wisconsin Badger football team, spent 3 years in the NFL. Great guy, goes around speaking to youth. Reach out to him. He's going to tell us about that. Going to talk a little bit about character today. and how it relates to the men's basketball team, the Badger basketball team. John Blackwell foregoing the NBA and not going to the transfer portal, coming back to Wisconsin as he promised. I always have a great time with Brady. Hour 2, what's worse? Hamburger edition today. What's worse, Whoppers or Big Macs? We'll discuss that at length. You already know what's better. A Butterburger from Culver's.
But we'll talk about what's worse.
Talk about what's worse. Also, then Peter Rapine at 3:35, managing editor of EPOM's World, with a humorous look at the wild and wacky, the week in review. A huge show today. I have my Brewers gear on my Euchre jersey today. If you're watching on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, going to the game on Sunday afternoon game against the Padres. They kick off that series tonight. You can hear it across many stations on Civic Media, including Richland Center, Oshkosh, Bagash, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and now in Hayward, Wisconsin. Broadcast time at 6:35. First pitch sometime after 7 o'clock. The Padres at the Brewers. Have to listen to it over your car or kitchen radio because we cannot stream it on the Civic Media app. The Padres at the Milwaukee Brewers. As I said, I'm going on Sunday. Looking forward to that. If you're going to be watching it, I got a deal for you. How about this? The game on Sunday is a 4 p.m. game, or I'm sorry, the game starts there. Let me check your notes, Todd. That would help. The game starts at 11:35 or 11:30. This is a broadcast, so probably a noon, 12:05 or so start time. It's going to be seen on the Roku Sports Channel. You can watch the game on the Roku Sports Channel this Sunday, the Brewers, and immediately following the game, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, más o menos, more or less, you can see the great film Just a Bit Outside, the story of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers. Great film. Our friends Kelly Call, Sean Hanish, the producers and director, respectively, of this film. They've been on this program. We always appreciate their time. And I know there are people that have not seen it yet for various reasons, and that's fine. But what better of a doubleheader than watching the Brewers on the Roku Sports Channel? You can listen to them on the radio at the same time, and then immediately after, you can listen or watch Just a Bit Outside for free. For free. No subscription needed, by the way.
And I will say, even if you're not a sports person, I highly recommend it because it's, as Kelly Call, one of the producers, has said, as Sean Hanish, the director and producer, has also said, it's a love story between a team and a city. It's very compelling.
It's fantastic. And if you don't want to watch it on if you're not a streamer for whatever reason, you can still order the film on DVD. I have it right here, my hot little hands. Look at that. Look at that graphic artwork there. It's fantastic. You can get it on DVD at your Amazon store or wherever you get your DVDs. Just About Outside. It's a really great film, as Amr said, regardless if you're a sports fan or not. All right. It's a big show today, as we said. It's 12 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. Before we get into the news headlines, it is summertime. Time to do a little text to win summer sizzler thing. Let's go.
And it's 2 bare feet on the dashboard. Young love and an old Ford. Cheap shades and a tattoo and a yoo-hoo. Bottle on the floorboard. Perfect song on the radio. Sing along, cause it's one we know. It's a smile, it's a kiss, it's a sip of wine, it's summertime.
What is better on a TGI Friday than Kenny Chesney? Roll down the windows. I wish we could just play that entire song. But for our podcasters, all they hear is silence. You remember, you can still hear all the music, all the audio music. Just listen to us on the YouTube channel, on the Civic Media YouTube channel, or on the Todd Allbaugh Show Facebook page.
Plus, then you get to point at us radio folks and laugh at what we look like.
Sometimes you can. Absolutely. All right, here we go. The Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. The lawyers tell me I have to remind you it is a statewide contest. Up for grabs this hour. Speaking of the Brewers, a pair of Brewer tickets. Not for tonight, but for a future game in our beautiful club-level seats at AmFam Field. So up for grabs, 2 tickets to a Brewers game this hour. Download the Civic Media app if you don't have it at your Apple or Android device. Open it up. It's free, by the way. Open it up. The first 11 stations are the ones we're on. Click on one of those. lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little icon that says text. Click on that. Now you're set to go. I'm going to give you the word for this hour. The word is north. The word is north. N is Nancy, O-R-T-H. North, N-O-R-T-H, as in the direction you're headed is north. North, N-O-R-T-H. North, that's the word. So up for grabs a set of Brewer tickets. Other days, we give you $100. Today, it's a pair of Brewer tickets. Don't forget, everybody who enters this hour will be entered in for one of our 2 grand prizes. We're going to give away by random drawing computer next Friday, either a vacation to the Baraboo Dells area getaway or a Door County getaway. And we're going to give you a gas card for gas to get you there and back. If you want to know the specific locations of these beautiful grand prizes, go to civicmedia.us. They're listed on our website. They want you to go click on that and check it out. There's a lot of great things there. The word is north, N-O-R-T-H, north. Text it in right now to be eligible to win a pair of tickets and eligible for our grand prize of those great Wisconsin getaways. All right. Last night, our friends at the Lincoln Project did a great, it's called The Breakdown with Maya May and Rick Wilson at the Lincoln Project, and they walked through all of these tweets back and forth, the war that is happening between President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And at one point, Rick Wilson, a former Republican like myself, but much higher ranking, still has Republican contacts. And at one point during the breakdown, Rick kind of does a quick breaking news from personal texts he's getting. It was extraordinary. Here is part of the breakdown on the Lincoln Project last night.
So now,
okay, guys, just to interrupt for a second. I have let me say this, a Trump world source who said the meeting is out of control. My God.
More.
And he takes a second to read
it.
And catch up with the information.
Let's put it this way. I joked earlier that Kristi Noem should send Elon Musk to CCOT. They're thinking about it.
Okay, let's talk about this for a second.
Check his immigration status.
He's a national security risk at this
point. They're going to deport Elon.
He's so unhinged. He's threatening to stop rockets and things that are already in process. He's a national security threat. No due process. Remember how it was all like due process?
Wilson is enjoying this very much. And this is information that he's getting from people that still talked with him inside the White House. Jay Peterman, the fictional character from Seinfeld, of course, put it best years ago on Seinfeld. Here's what Jay Peterman would have called this.
Well, I see what's going on here. I am smack dab in the middle of a good old-fashioned catfight.
That's right, a good old-fashioned cat fight.
The girls are fighting again.
Between Elon and the Trumpster. Now, if you think that Rick Wilson was just making this stuff up, here, almost simultaneously, here's what Steve Bannon, the guy that, we all know Steve Bannon, the Trumpster insider. Here's what he was saying online at the same time last night.
SpaceX. President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight. The U.S. government should seize it. If a guy's going to sit there and start making quotes, also, as Stuart Stevens talked back in January, I don't know why we haven't had a full investigation. Look, if you're going to deport illegal aliens, you got to deport illegal aliens. The good go with the good, the goose and the gander. They got to go back to this, as Stuart Stevens talked about, and go through everything about his immigration status. I happen to believe, given the facts that I've been shown, that he's an illegal alien, and illegal aliens got to be deported.
You see how quickly the worm turns there? Longtime advisor Steve Bannon to Donald Trump helped get him out of jail. And by the way, Stuart Stevens, one of our friends, one of the founding members of the Lincoln Project, along with Rick Wilson, a former Republican. And when Stuart Stevens brought this up a few months ago, Steve Bannon and everybody else in Trump world was bagging on Stuart Stevens. when Stewart brought up and said, hey, if Trump's really going to be serious about deporting illegals, quote unquote, then you better look at Elon Musk. And they trashed Stuart Stevens. And all it took was a couple of 3 weeks. And now they're quoting Stuart Stevens, saying, yeah, Stewart was absolutely right. There's a great article in the Wall Street Journal by John McCormick, headlined, Wisconsin was beginning of the end for the Trump-Musk relationship. Says a key political event that started the process that led to this week's ugly public breakup between President Trump and Elon Musk took place just more than 2 months ago. Musk was the largest 2024 election cycle donor, contributing close to $300 million to help Trump and other Republicans, and was a high-profile supporter of the trial. But the president slowly began to distance himself from Musk after the world's richest man proved to be a political alibi, or a liability rather, on April 1st, when he lost the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. We'll come back telling the serious side of this. Don't go anywhere. Also a tribute to D-Day. It's the Allbaugh Show for a Friday on Civic Media.
Getting back together.
Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7.
And so you want that other song we got ready on the way out, correct?
Yep.
Just wanted to double check.
Yep, thank you. And that,
a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can slow it down.
I can't believe these commercials are even here.
Slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay.
Cam, not the one that you sent me. Didn't have time to go over that yet. It was what Cam is referring to is another insider text that Rick Wilson got, and he was talking about on a different thing that Lady Project did. I'll show you later.
Escape to paradise this summer at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Spacious accommodations.
How long is that? I can't find that clip. Oh, here it is.
Which one?
The MERS clip on
50 seconds.
That's 50. So basically
and
4
the
minutes.
#1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Book a Chula Vista Resort all-inclusive package
So
now
if we're
at
out at 30,
1-800-388-4782.
that means they're going to start at 26, right?
Your summer paradise awaits.
We're out at 30.
Right. So I have to start. If I want to use both of them, I got to start no later than 26.
I would say a little earlier,
Yeah, so
possible.
25.
Like 25, 30 maybe.
Madison's East Side. Line Shot Social Club. Open to everyone. LineShotSocialClub.com.
So we'll try to get it MERS and then Andy Rooney.
Annually to fraud, errors, and abuse. June 2nd through the 8th is Medicare Fraud Prevention Week.
30
focusing
seconds.
on the actions everyone can take.
Thank you.
So long, farewell, our readers, and good night. I hate to go and leave this pretty sight.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 now past the hour of 2 o'clock on a Friday. TGIF June 6th coming up at the bottom of the hour, just thereafter. Brady Ewing, 3-time Big Ten champion, spent 3 years in the NFL. Going to talk a little sports and also about character. Not just in sports, but character in general. Always a great conversation. Pardon me, with Brady, still getting over these allergies. Although I feel like they're better. This smoke outside from the Canadian wildfires just keeps hanging on. Now they're saying perhaps through the weekend, but going to be a fairly nice weekend. Before the break, played you a couple of clips here talking about this Elon Musk Donald Trump breakup. Look, I think there's a humorous element to it, right? It's always interesting and kind of fun to see powerful people that are doing bad things not get along with each other. You know, the old Jon Stewart meme of eating popcorn. You're just like, ooh, look at this. But two things. A, on the breakdown last night on Lincoln Project, Rick Wilson had a great point. And he said, look, part of what fueled the MAGA movement, there are two things, media-wise, Fox News and also Twitter, which became X, because Elon Musk changed the algorithms, i.e. the inner workings of Twitter, to push some of the more conspiratorial things, the untruths, the lies of MAGA world, and throttled back on the truth on sites like the New York Times, other places that tell the truth. And so he said, the point Wilson was making, and I think he's right, is that if Elon decides to flip that, that's going to be trouble for MAGA world politically. Number two, Trygve Olsen, our friend that comes on every Wednesday, also the Lincoln Project, who has worked against authoritarian leaders around the world, has said, look, remember the Stalin rule. Everybody knew during World War II that Stalin was a terrible person, but he was the second worst. The worst was Adolf Hitler. So in any fight, look at it this way. Look, I don't think Elon Musk is some great guy now, but if he makes people in MAGA world kind of rethink where they're at, hey, that's I think that's a good thing. So anyway, we'll continue to follow this and take more of your phone calls maybe a little bit later in the show. I want to get to this. It's D-Day, by the way, 81 years ago today. The German Chancellor Merz was in the White House talking to Donald Trump. Trump, as always, tried to talk down to Merz. Here's what German Chancellor Merz had to say about D-Day to Donald Trump.
June 6th, tomorrow, this is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
I thought that was just, I mean, if you watched the whole thing yesterday in the White House, Trump tried to be trite, tried to be funny, basically trying to make fun of World War II and D-Day. You know, we saved you. You know, that was a pretty bad day for you Germans. And Merz wasn't going to play it. By the way, he came with a gift, a birth certificate from Trump's grandfather who was born in Germany, had it framed for him. And then he said, look, yeah, we're appreciative, but hey, remember what this day is really about. Many of us might remember Andy Rooney from 60 Minutes. Nobody puts it better than Andy Rooney. I want to play this clip for you. Here is Andy Rooney from 60 Minutes from 2004 on D-Day.
Because it was part of my life, I'd like to say something about D-Day. I don't know how to say it any differently than I did in a book I wrote called My War. If you are young and not really clear what D-Day was, let me tell you, it was a day unlike any other. There have only been a handful of days since the beginning of time on which the direction the world was taking has been changed for the better in one 24-hour period by an act of man. June 6, 1944 was one of them. What the Americans, the British, and the Canadians were trying to do was get back a whole continent that had been taken from its rightful owners by Adolf Hitler's German army. It was one of the most monumentally unselfish things one group of people ever did for another. We all have days of our lives that stand out from the blur of days that have gone by, and the day I came ashore on Utah Beach, 4 days after the initial invasion, is one of mine. As we approached the French coast, there were small clouds of smoke and sudden eruptions as German artillery blindly lobbed shells over the hills behind the beach. They were hoping to hit U.S. troops or some of the massive amount of equipment piled up on the shore there. Row on row of dead American soldiers were laid out on the beach just above the high tide mark where it turned into weedy clumps of grass. They were covered with olive drab blankets, just their feet sticking out at the bottom, their GI boots sticking out. I remember their boots, all the same on boys all so different. No one can tell the whole story of D-Day because no one knows it. Each of the 60,000 men who waded ashore that day knew a little part of the story too well. To them, the landing looked like a catastrophe. Each knew a friend shot through the throat, shot through a knee. Each knew names of 5 hanging dead on the barbed wire in the water 20 yards offshore. 3 who lay unattended on the stony beach as the blood drained from holes in their bodies. They saw whole tank crews drowned when the tanks rumbled off the ramps of their landing craft and dropped into 20 feet of water. There were heroes here no one will ever know because they're dead. The heroism of others is known only to themselves. Across the Channel, in Allied headquarters in England, the war directors, remote from the details of death, were exultant. They saw no blood, no dead, no dying. From the statisticians' point of view, the invasion was a success. Statisticians were right. They always are. That's the damn thing about it. On each visit to the beaches over the years, I've wept. It's impossible to keep back the tears as you look across the rows of markers and think of the boys under them who died that day. Even if you didn't know anyone who died, your heart knows something that your brain does not. You weep. If you think the world is selfish and rotten, go to the cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer, overlooking Omaha Beach. See what one group of men did for another on D-Day, June 6, 1944.
Andy Rooney, back with more after this.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7.
Well, since we ended up with one note,
that was close.
Yes, I knew it was going to be close, but I knew it was going to fit.
I'm sorry.
Share your thoughts
I
when
should
you
have.
find
I
and
should
follow
have
Civic Media on Facebook,
started it
X,
sooner.
and Instagram.
The community in Wisconsin is staking its future on the food and beverage industry.
But we got it in.
I'm PM Yankee with a quick update.
Brady Ewing never. His timing is never off. Always on time. Always fantastic.
I'm here.
God love.
Ready to go. How's it going?
I'm well. How about you?
Doing good.
Awesome.
Just been in my hole of an office today, just grinding away. So nice to talk to somebody non-work related.
I love it. I love it. I thought we'd talk a little bit about Jonathan Blackwell coming back to the Badgers, and there was this article, I think it was on Badger Blitz, and he was telling about somebody in whatever, some big coach or some big program reached out to Blackwell's world and said, well, we're really disappointed that he didn't enter the transfer portal. And Blackwell said, I told him to tell whoever said that, we're really disappointed that you didn't recruit me out of high school.
Hey, that's the loyalty we need
right
there.
And I want to talk about that, and then just kind of get into like character, like what a person's character, and maybe some of the things you talk about when you go around talking to youth, and how we can use that to instill character in people today, which I think is an overlooked thing in sports, but also just in life as well.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So talk about that. Anything else on your mind?
Man, nothing sports related, nothing too crazy. Kind of a little bit of a lull here.
Right.
Other than some of the NFL stuff, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We can talk about that a little bit. Little Rodgers drama.
Yeah, he's always good for that.
All right.
But I'm gonna shut down my email here.
The classic green reunion comes to
Are
Wisconsin.
you an NBA fan at all? Did you watch the game last night?
Bend. This year's event.
Bennett is really into it, so we turned it on, and he watched the first half before he went to bed, and I didn't watch the rest of it until I saw the replay of it, and it's like, holy cow, turned out to be a really good game.
Halliburton does it again.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, what a shot. Just
right?
Clutch ice water.
Lately, take a look. We just welcomed a brand new face to the Midwest Farm Report Network. Her name.
It started so lopsided too. It was like 15-2, I think, at one point. Something.
Graduated from Iowa State University and joined us as a farm broadcast team member this week. More at
what you got cooking this weekend?
I'm PM Yankee.
On Sunday, I'm actually going to the Brewer game. One of my friends, he started to be one of my back in the day when I was making real money. I had a personal trainer for 4 days a week.
Oh, nice.
When I turned, was it 42, something like that? I was doing well, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself. So I paid for Orange Shoe Fitness and went 4 days a week. It was fantastic for either a half an hour or 45 minutes a day, and I was in the best shape of my life. Better than I was down to 151. And I like, my BMI was ridiculous, and I felt fantastic. And my favorite part of the workout was not real boxing, but like they'd actually wrap my hands the right way, put the gloves on, and then my trainer had like the big pads, you know.
Yep.
And so there were like 6 different. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
We need a fun listener name.
Oh,
something
5,
followers of the
6,
show
something.
can call
And so
themselves.
he'd call out and you gotta have a really good trainer because he has to do it all in reverse, and he has to know that in his head, right? So
30 seconds.
It's like this. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you think I could do that for 2 minutes? That's nothing. Hey, you're going like that, for 2 minutes. You're exhausted. Best workout of my life.
Hey.
All right.
Here we go.
15 seconds.
To this day, when I hear that song, I see you standing there on that lawn. Discount shades, store-bought tan, flip-flops and cut-off jeans. Somewhere
Welcome
between
back
that
to the Allbaugh
setting
Show
sun.
on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock on a TGIF, June 6, 2025. It is D-Day. Todd ran that right up to the very end, but we got it in. If you weren't with us, you could listen to it on the podcast or however. Andy Rooney, iconic voice at CBS and 60 Minutes for so very, very many years, who was at D-Day, who served. And I just think it's appropriate that we pause and reflect and remember that today and never forget. Steve, listening to Mount Horeb on WMDX, says, I'm an Army veteran, and that was a great segment about D-Day. They gave the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. Absolutely. So important that we pause, reflect, and remember that. And always somebody I like to go down memory road with. Our friend, he's a 3-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin football. Spent 3 years in the NFL and an all-around great guy and a fantastic turkey hunter as well. Mr. Brady Ewing joins us from the old hometown of the RC. Brady, how are you?
Doing good. That maybe the turkey hunter. That's my real claim to fame, I think.
Right. Champion turkey hunter.
That's right.
But they don't give you a ring for that, right?
They don't. But what I'm hopeful, the people that are watching online and the ones that were listening on the radio really missed a display between the commercial break there where you were doing some kickboxing, some punching on the air, showing your moves over there in the studio.
Well, Brady asked me what I was doing this weekend, and so I'm going to the Brewer game on Sunday, as I said at the top of the show. And by the way, once again, the game is going to be shown on the Roku Sports Channel. And stay tuned after the game because they're going to do a free showing of Just a Bit Outside, the story of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers. So watch the Brewers game, listen on the radio, turn down the volume on the Roku channel, listen to the Brewers radio network on select stations on Civic Media, and then stick around the Roku Sports Channel for Just a Bit Outside afterwards. But so I'm going to the game with my buddy Rob Daggett, his lovely wife, and their young daughter, and we're going down. And Rob used to be one of my trainers back in the day, and when I used to have a personal trainer, and we did the not legit boxing, but where they'd wrap my hands, and Rob would have like oversized mitts, and they call out numbers 1 through 6, and you had to, you're doing footwork and you're punching. You do that 2-minute rounds, 3 of those with a minute or 2 in between. You're exhausted.
Oh, no doubt. Actually, at the University of Wisconsin, our strength coach, Coach Herbert and Brian Bott, we wouldn't get wrapped up. So it wasn't as serious as you, Todd, but we just used our hands and worked with those mitts. So we'd partner up and work on quick hands, different sequences, which from a football perspective, it was good conditioning, but also a way just to train your mind-hand coordination and having quick hands as you're either fighting off a block or you're trying to establish your hands on a block when you're blocking a defender.
Oh, yeah.
Great training.
It really is. It was the best workout of my life. So Rob and I have kept in contact, and so we got to figure out a date to take you and Rachel and the boys down to another Brewer game. But like to do something nice, and so Rob, we're taking his daughter down there, and we'll have a good time on Sunday. Brady, I wanted to talk a little bit about character today. Something I know you and I have talked about before, but what brought it up was Jonathan Blackwell, one of the big standout players for Greg Gard's team at University of Wisconsin men's basketball team, put his name in to explore the NBA, and said when he did so, if I decide not to go into the NBA draft, I'm coming back to Wisconsin. And some people kind of thought, well, yeah, sure, right, whatever. This last week, he did just that. He said, I tested the waters, had a lot of great workout and input, but I'm going to wait a year, and I'm coming back to Wisconsin. And I read an article, I think it was Badger Blitz. I credited it, but I just don't have it in front of me right now. And in the story, it said that Jonathan Blackwell, somebody in his circle, heard from one of the other big teams out there. And they said to Jonathan Blackwell's people, we're really disappointed that Jonathan didn't go into the transfer portal. And I guess Blackwell's response was, hey, you can tell them that we were really disappointed that you didn't recruit me out of high school.
Boom.
I thought that was great.
I love that. And I think that's when I think of, I guess, college sports of old, that's what it was all about, right? You're recruiting kids out of high school. They have that that character, that integrity, especially at a place like Wisconsin. I feel like we've always tried to hang our hat on recruiting young athletes like that. And so to hear him say that, to hear you tell that story during the break, and then here now again, it gives me goosebumps actually, because it just makes you feel like there's still hope a little bit. And
it really is.
And Blackwell, I mean, great player, but I think a better leader. And I think that story is a testament to the type of person he is.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's Greg Gard a couple of years ago when the NIL really ginned up, he said to the press, look, I got to kind of start dividing myself from the old school of, look, these guys are like our sons and we bring them up. It's becoming a business. But I think this just proves there's still a part of the old school in Greg Gard. The fact that he's bringing back Blackwell, Winter is coming back, Janicki, three guys that probably could have gotten bigger NIL deals elsewhere, but they're coming back to the Badgers.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the way that Greg Gard's been able to adjust his approach, but yet still keep some of what Wisconsin and makes him special. And he's been able to evolve both on the court and off the court in recruiting. And you look at what they did this past year and some of those key players coming back. I think high expectations, but of those top tier programs like Wisconsin has shown to be, I feel like that is the expectation now in the transfer portal. So to have that consistency is going to be huge, and it's only going to snowball in my mind, because the more you can keep some of those core parts of your team together and not have that large amount of turnover to the transfer portal due to whatever reason that may be, I think that's going to just differentiate you that much more as the years progress, to where you have that culture, you have that team built, and there's still going to be athletes like Blackwell and others that want to be a part of that type of a program versus this very transient, transitional type of a program.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Chucky Hepburn, who went to Louisville,
Right.
but I think if you would look at the seasons of Hepburn at Louisville last year after leaving for a reported $1 million deal at Louisville, and John Tanji, who transferred in, and you look at where they're at now positioned in the draft, I think that Tanji got the better year.
Yeah, 100%. And money's awesome. Money's great, right? I mean, Chucky chasing that deal at Nebraska, good for him. Like, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, I'm sure there was days he was sitting there looking on his phone or watching on TV, seeing how the Badgers did and the camaraderie they had out on the court.
Yeah.
And you have to believe that he missed that a little bit. I have no idea. This is total speculation, but it's like, man.
But you played in Division One on the football side, so you know what it's like to be on a team. Talk to us a little bit about that. If you'd like to have Brady speak to your young people, whether it's a sports group or otherwise, you can reach him on the socials, as they say, particularly on Instagram. It's Brady, Bradie Ewing, and you can reach him there. It's B Ewing 34, right? That's your handle, or your whatever you want to call it.
On X, B Ewing 34, and then Instagram, Brady.Ewing. Yep.
All right, very good. Because talk to when you go around talking to youth, and you talk about character. You know, the old adage, character is what you do when people aren't looking. When you're following behind someone and they drop their wallet and no one's around, do you put it in your pocket or do you catch up with the person and say, "Hey, you dropped this"? And to me, high school athletics, regardless of the person's ability, those are lessons. If you have the right coach, the right team, those are lessons we can learn.
100%. Yeah, it's super cliche, but athletics gives you a great way to expose people to different types of situations. That could be success, that could be failure, that could be sitting behind somebody that's better than them, that could be being the star person on the team. And I think those situations are great microcosms for life, in the fact that when you get into the working world, or just even life as a student athlete in high school, or in a family setting, like, adversity is going to come. Like, we all face adversity of some sort. So to have experiences with how to navigate that, how to come together as a team, how to use your resources of your family or your teammates, how to respond when bad things happen. So you get injured, you miss a game-winning shot. Like, how are you going to bounce back? Are you going to go sulk in the corner of the locker room, or are you going to come back the next day, show up a little bit early, get the extra shots up, and try to learn from those challenges or those mistakes? And I think, we all have times where we do that. We all have times where we revert to feeling sorry for ourselves. So I think at least being mindful of that, and having accountability, not only to yourself, but also those around you, that's what makes teams special, because everybody's going to fall. Everybody's going to stumble. It's really, how are you going to try to motivate yourself to get out of that? And then how are you going to help your teammates when they're in that position? Because everybody goes through those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think, like, I've never met John Blackwell, but just from the little I read and see, and I guess I'm a big believer in people's actions over their words. And here's a guy who said he was going to do something, probably most likely had the opportunity to cash in bigger somewhere else, but he kept his word and is coming back out of loyalty. And that's something in my life that's tremendously important to me. Is I really try to be a loyal friend. I try to be loyal to the people who take care of me. And so, I just really admire what Blackwell's doing, as others on the team as well.
Yeah, it's special. Blackwell, we know what he can do on the court, but to see that he lives that out in his day-to-day basis, on a day-to-day basis, is pretty special.
Yeah, it really is. We're talking to Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin football, spent 3 years in the NFL, and a Brewers fan as well. And by the way, Brady, if not you, but you can actually, you're eligible. Get your kids on Rachel text in right now. We are right smack dab in the middle of our big Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. You can be eligible. You're eligible for the next, about 14 minutes here. Go to the Civic Media app, download it, open it up, and text the word North, 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 right now on the Civic Media app, because we're giving away this hour a pair. That's two, a deuce, to a future Brewer game at AmFam Field in these beautiful club seats that, Brady, you've been in. It's a pretty good view.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, you get to go inside, hit the air conditioning if you need it. Great. Concession stand closed. Yeah, we needed it the day we went. Concession stands were closed. That was needed for the kids too, to keep them cooled down and fueled up. So no, it was a great game. It's always fun to be at. I still want to call it Miller Park.
I know.
AmFam Field.
I know.
Taking in the Brewers. So it was.
Text the word North, North, North. Text it right now to be eligible for the Brewer tickets, and also eligible for, here, Brady, you want to take your lovely wife on a vacation? Two grand prizes, Wisconsin vacation to either the Baraboo Dells area or a Door County getaway with a gas card. So North, North. About a minute here left, Brady. Let's dive into this. We'll pick it up on the other side. A-Rod Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is interesting because you played with Russell Wilson at Wisconsin. The 1 year he was there, you guys went to the Rose Bowl and won the Big Ten. And so now Russell Wilson's going from the Steelers to the Jets, and A-Rod going from the Jets to the Steelers.
Well, Giants. Russell's at the Giants.
Right, sorry.
The other New York team.
Same stadium.
Same stadium. There you go.
It'll be all right. See, I messed up this segment because I didn't know my teams. You never try to challenge a former NFL player when you're talking about teams. That's the lesson from the end of this segment. All right, I'll regroup. We'll come back. We'll get Brady's thoughts on to Aaron Rodgers, and his son is an NBA fan. The Pacers game last night was incredible. It's the Almost Show for a Friday with Brady Ewing on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Come work with us.
I messed that up.
I didn't mean to call you out, but I know there's a couple listeners out there that would.
Oh, they'd be like, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's
no, I'm glad you did.
In discussions over the so-called Big Beautiful Bill back to
all right, we'll do a minute or so on that, and then
Senator Ron Johnson emerged as the most prominent
talk about the
Republican
Pacers
critic of the bill, saying at a recent Milwaukee Press Club event that
it always
it
goes
is, quote,
fast.
not
Here's
even
another
close to
topic
adequate.
that came to my mind
Spending
is
cuts to go even further, including
you look at some of the quarterbacks that went in the draft, and I can't even think of names right now because it's been a few weeks since that, but how they had opportunities to Shedeur Sanders, but some of the other top-rated draft picks, they left multi-million-dollar deals to go to the NFL and pursue a dream. I just think that's fascinating, and I was going to go into it when we were talking about Blackwell, but it's
we should bring that. We should
kind of a similar situation there. It's just fascinating how those dreams and those goals they've always had outweigh, necessarily the money. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Definitely use that.
You're listening to
I'm sorry. Darn allergies are just killing me.
Yeah, I'm coughing today too, but I don't feel sick or anything. I just
I'm always a little off, but it's the pollen. The tree pollen is just killing me.
On ranked choice voting and a higher bar.
I was driving yesterday for work, and there was yellow clouds being blown off these pine trees yesterday. It looked horrible.
It ain't fun at all.
And gives local election officials authority to challenge citizenship of a registered voter at the poll. A recent presidential executive order now allows access to those databases. If a voter is not able to provide documentation at the polls, they would be forced to use a provisional ballot. Only days before the 2024 election, the Secretary of State's office challenged the eligibility of over 2,100 registered voters. Most were naturalized citizens or data errors, while 277 were registered non-citizens. Of those, only 35 voted out of 1.7 million.
You got your week in review after this or later?
Yes. Peter Rapod is in for a week in review at 3:30.
Nice.
The news of the wild and wacky.
I usually try to jump on YouTube after we get done, and if I'm in the office working, and I always enjoy that.
Well, thank you. Peter usually comes up with some crazy stories.
Occasionally a little too crazy.
A little, but it's always a lot of fun.
Zomer's nice ticker down there. That's cool.
Yeah, look at that.
It's in the podcast description.
Well done.
I've got about 30 seconds.
All right.
The new Camp Wildside. They also offer field trips, birthday parties.
When I think about you, I think about 17. I think about my old Jeep. I think about the stars in the sky. Funny how a melody sounds like a memory, like a soundtrack to a July Saturday night. Springsteen.
Not quite July, but we're to June already. Cannot believe that. June 6th, Friday, TGIF 2025. Now 8 minutes before the hour before 3 o'clock. These allergies, Brady.
I think
Give
Todd
this
needs
man
some
some
hot
Claritin.
water with lemon and honey.
Yeah, I'm going to sit in a pool of hot water or something this weekend and try to decongest. Brady Ewing, 3-time Big Ten champion, Wisconsin Badger football team, also a former player in the league, as they say, the NFL, joins us every other Friday. Always appreciative of that. By the way, Brady, it is National Donut Day.
Ooh.
So
Did you partake?
Look at this. Luke Mathers brought in a box of Greenbush Bakery donuts today.
Yep, I had one earlier too.
Right?
Oh man.
Did you spend a lot of time? Did you spend a lot of time there when you went to Wisconsin?
Love Greenbush. Even after, when we lived in Madison, when our kids were younger, that would be a Saturday morning tradition. And I don't know, is it Papa John's was the Richland Center? No, not
Papa's Donuts. Yeah,
Papa's Donuts, man.
Spudnitz before that.
Hey, that was the spot.
Right.
I missed those and craved those.
I know, absolutely. Me too. Good time. So Brady and I could sit around talking about donuts and Richland Center for all day. But by the way, text the word North, North, right now to the Civic Media app to be eligible to win a pair of Milwaukee Brewers tickets as well as fabulous grand prizes, which will whisk you away to destinations untold across Wisconsin. North, North is the word to text right now. Brady, before the break, Aaron Rodgers, former Packer, former Jet, now to the Steelers. I know it's sensational, but what do you make of it?
It's fascinating. I'm interested to see how him and Tomlin kind of mesh together and their personalities and, what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers through the years as far as his personality and just there's some baggage that comes there. I mean, he can play on the field, but comes with, some off the field stuff and, just a pretty extravagant personality. So it's going to be interesting to see how he meshes in yet another program. And, I have a ton of respect for the way that the Steelers program has been run. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's where I think coaches can really come into the equation to see how they mesh that type of a talent, that type of personality with the culture that they've built historically. And going to be very, very different than I think the Russell personality that they had in at least last year.
Very, very different indeed. Very different indeed. Brady, you were bringing up during the break. This is a really interesting point. Talk to us about what these quarterbacks that were in the NFL draft, these college quarterbacks, some of them coming out early, and what they left and what they're going towards.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and I almost brought it up during the Blackwell conversation. Just you look at the draft, and everybody obviously saw Shedeur Sanders and how he dropped in the draft, but there was other higher quarterback draft picks, and that position's easy to call out just because everybody recognizes them. And it was still interesting that a lot of these quarterbacks that declared early and could have stayed in college gave up big NIL deals in college to pursue what would be a smaller annual salary at the NFL level. But, I guess I just think back to guys I played with in some of my time, and guys are still chasing that dream, and they still have, again, money is important. Obviously they'll make great money either way, but they're still out pursuing that dream and wanting to be a part of something that they likely looked forward to since they were, kids. So it's just interesting to see how that money, goal achievement, can go back and forth and weigh on people and how they make their decisions. And still people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, their goals, their dreams. Or maybe it's a certain program like Blackwell where he wants to be a part of Wisconsin and uphold his word. So just interesting how that plays into it.
It's super interesting. I think I read where Shedeur, he was making well over $1.5 million in NIL at Colorado. And, he dropped to the 5th round. I know the minimum was changed a lot because you were in the 5th round, right?
Correct.
But it's changed a lot in the years since you were first drafted. But you got to believe that Shedeur is making a lot less. He went to Cleveland, right? As an NFL quarterback, a 5th rounder, that he was making as the starter at Colorado.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But again, he wants to be a part of competition at its highest level. And no doubt he had more he could have accomplished at Colorado, other than getting his name inducted or his number inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think that already happened.
I know.
Which is crazy.
He retired his juror number when he's still a senior. I mean, or whatever, last year playing.
Yeah. Isn't there usually a time window that you need to uphold to get that done?
Right? I thought. And as long as you brought that up, why is 34 not retired at Camp Randall? That's
Far from it.
No, come
Hey,
on.
on a side note, though, did you see the recent Hall of Fame class? It's at Wisconsin for the W Club Hall of Fame. It'd help if I was able to talk, but James White is going in, Travis Frederick, and a bunch of others. Frank Kaminsky. Just really cool to see. I guess people that I either played with or looked up to during my high school days getting inducted now. That's really cool and happy for those guys.
It's super cool. And congratulations to all who were inducted. Very quickly, Brady, NBA Finals are on. The Pacers against the Thunder, Oklahoma. Halliburton, the Wisconsin guy, does it again for the Pacers in the last second.
Yeah, it was pretty special. You said Bennett's an NBA guy. Rachel was out at her parents' with a couple of our boys last night. So Bennett and I watched the first half, and what started off as a pretty lopsided game became pretty competitive to the end. So I got to catch the highlights from the second half. But man, that guy has ice water running through his veins, and just an impressive athlete. To make a shot of that caliber in that game with all of the hype, I mean that. And it's kind of old hat for him. He does it all the time now.
Why is it that Wisconsin teams always lose to the eventual champion? It's like we always draw the wrong team.
Tough draw.
We never have a bad draw anytime Brady joins us. Brady, thank you so very much. We appreciate your time, my friend. I'm coming up for the Betty Hayes dance recital on Saturday. Maybe I'll see you around. All right, take care. Yep, bye-bye. Back after this. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll say that again.
You sounded good, but now it's chopping out.
Okay. I don't know what happened there, but
everything was fine before. Well, while we were on the air, it was perfect. All right. Thanks, Brady. Yep. Bye.
Adios. That is really weird because it was great until then.
On his way back because he is facing criminal charges. He's been indicted by a federal grand jury, an indictment that remains under seal on charges related to human trafficking. So once in the United States, he will face federal criminal charges for allegedly transporting undocumented migrants within the United States. That stems from that 2022 Tennessee Highway Patrol traffic stop where Abrego Garcia was pulled over for speeding. He was in that car with 8 other people who he was transporting.
The Supreme Court upheld a lower court's ruling ordering the Trump administration to facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia. This is ABC News.
This is your local civic media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The budget process now continues without Republicans and Democrats trying to make a deal. Republicans leading the Joint Finance Committee have said Governor Tony Evers' spending priorities, increasing funding for child care programs, schools, and universities, are too expensive. Meanwhile, the governor says he compromised with them by agreeing to tax cuts for the middle class and retirees. Moving forward, the Joint Finance Committee, led by Republicans, will put together a budget that the governor may or may not veto. They've got until the end of June, and if a budget isn't signed by then, funding levels will continue where they are right now. And next year, we've got an election for governor, and the budget process could actually hinder developments there. Here's Joanne Krulotz.
A breakdown in negotiations over a tax cut and other spending measures in Wisconsin threatens to put the 2026 race for governor on hold, with the Democratic incumbent saying he won't announce his decision on seeking a third term in the swing state until after a budget deal is done. Governor Tony Evers and Republicans who control the legislature have been meeting in private since April, trying to hammer out a deal ahead of the July 1st deadline. But those talks broke down late Wednesday. Wisconsin
Apparently,
is poised to be in the national political
the tweet about Trump being in the Epstein files was posted while Joe Rogan was interviewing Kash Patel.
The legislature.
And so he's
Local
like,
officials will wear orange this weekend in an effort
Patel's
to
like,
end
I'm
gun
not participating
violence.
in any of
The
that
Wear Orange
conversation.
movement
Rogan
began
says,
in
Jesus Christ, that's a
2013.
crazy
Gun
thing to say.
violence
How
has
does he
been the
know?
leading cause
Does
of
he
death
know
for
that Donald
American
Trump's in the
slaves
Epstein
for about
files? Does he
5
have
years
access?
now.
And
Throughout
Patel's
the
like,
weekend,
I don't know,
staff
I'm
from
just
Public
staying
Health
out of that.
Madison,
It's,
Dane
it's out of my
County,
lane. I'm not talking about
police
this.
officers,
You're
and
the
other
FBI
local leaders will
director.
be
Come
wearing
on.
orange. There's a vigil tomorrow night and a gathering on Sunday that will focus on community building, providing resources, and talking about the impact of gun violence. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
A homestand for the Brewers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Milwaukee Brewers begin
Sorry
a
to be eating in
12-game
front of people,
homestand tonight.
but this
Their
donut that
longest of the
Mathers brought
season
in is
against
too
the
good.
Padres. That's followed by the Braves next week, and then the second-place Cardinals. The Crew coming off a day's rest after beating the Reds 9-1 on Wednesday. NFL. Aaron Rodgers will sign a one-year deal to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rodgers has kept in touch with their head coach.
Listen, I've talked to Mike Tomlin, great dude. It was nice to go into the city. I'd never really spent any time in Pittsburgh other than
Cam,
a few
you're right.
times we've
The FBI
played there.
director shouldn't be on Joe
I
Rogan's
enjoyed
show.
talking to Mike.
NBA Finals, Oshkosh North High School grad Tyrese Halliburton has done it again. A last-second shot to lead the Pacers to a win in the playoffs, 111-110 over the Thunder in Game 1 of the Finals.
Man, we just we keep believing, and we stay together. And it ain't over till it's over. It ain't over till it hits zero, and we just keep pushing. So, like I said, really proud of this group.
That's the Pacers' Tyrese Halliburton with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Mixed skies today with calm winds and comfortable temperatures reaching highs in the mid-70s. Tonight will be partly cloudy, lows falling to the mid-50s. And tomorrow, a repeat of today. Then on Sunday, rain rolls in. That looks to linger into our Monday as well. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 75 degrees.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Matt Miller, a Milwaukee-based film critic. The film Sinners, the more distance I have from it, the more I liked it. Is that an Oscar film?
I think there is a love for what Sinners is doing, that a studio movie was this interesting and creative and thoughtful, but also entertaining. This is not the last you will hear about Sinners this year. I'd be shocked if it doesn't get a Best Picture nomination.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Lily Roberts, she is from the Center for American Progress Action Fund.
They're trying to pretend that this bill would be good for the working class because of this really small carve out to our tax laws. The no tax on tips piece does not at all even come close to addressing the problem of wages in this country. You know, a third of workers who work for tips in the first place don't make enough money to pay taxes at all.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board, our producer and engineer. It is Friday, TGIF, June 6th, 2025. It is a great day to be Wisconsinite. A little sun out, a couple of clouds here. There's still a little bit of smoke in the air. Our meteorology team says that's going to linger. First, it was like, oh, it'll be done by Tuesday, and then when it just keeps hanging on, like a bad girlfriend or a boyfriend. Like Trump and Musk just keeps. Trump said that Elon was wearing thin. By the way, that's one of his texts. I appreciate that. But no, the smoke is going to be. They're saying now, hopefully by the end of the weekend. But all in all, I think temperatures in the 70s, more or less. Be a nice weekend to get out and get around. By the way, many thanks to Brady Ewing for being on the show here in the last hour. Always a great time with Brady. One of those guys, one of those people that just make you feel better for sitting down and chatting with him. So many thanks for Brady for being here with us. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to try to get in a couple more news headlines yet this hour. One from Milwaukee. Open records laws where a reporter for WTMJ4 television in Milwaukee was not allowed to go to a public school board meeting. Ramifications of that, and things are getting bananas out in D.C.
They are, Todd.
We'll explain a little later. And at the bottom of the hour, just after our news update, our friend and ongoing contributor, the managing editor of E-Bombs World, Mr. Peter Rapine, directly from Brooklyn, New York, with a look at the wild, the wacky, the week in review, stupid human things at the bottom of the hour. But right now, it's 8 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved, just your chance to have your voice heard. And what more do you want than that? You can be heard all across Wisconsin, all 11 news talk sports stations in the Civic Media Radio Network. No better place to have your product, your business advertised than on our network. We would appreciate you. We would love to partner with you. Check us out at civicmedia.us. Civicmedia.us. All right. Category today, fast food-ish. I don't know about you, but going to be on the road a little bit. I might, although I'm supposed to have less fast food now that I have a fatty liver.
I think you should heed that advice.
Yes. I'm holding off on a dramatic diet change until I'm seeing my doctor in a couple of weeks.
Okay, that's fair. That's completely fair.
And the nutritionist. So,
good to get some advice.
Yeah.
That's
before I just
specific to you.
completely change everything. Anyway, we're not going to go into that right now. Fast food, burgers. What's worse, the Whopper or a Big Mac? Whopper or a Big Mac? What's worse? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or you can text us on the aforementioned Civic Media app. Download it on your Apple or Android device. Simply go to your app store, little search bar, type in Civic, CIVIC Media, pops up, download it. It's free, takes less than a minute. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. Wouldn't it be great one of these days go out to New York, try to see Gail King, and I say, Gail, all I want you to do is say, it's a deal. Think she'd do that? Probably not.
Maybe.
She's Oprah's friend. What is she going to talk to me for? What's worse? Anyway, download the Civic Media app and you can text us the answer as well. Or call 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What's worse, the Whopper or the Big Mac? Off the text line right now. Let's go back up to numbers. First couple of those. We got Robert in McFarland on WMDX says, oh my God, the Big Mac is a giant pile of crap. Had to clean it up a little bit for radio there. Where was he? It disappeared. Where was that? The Whopper is considered quality and fast food world. All right. Big Mac. That was Robert. So Robert saying that the Big Mac is worse. Oscar in Madison listening on WMDX says the Big Mac is worse because you get more bread than you do meat. All right. Let's see here. Robert, don't be mean on McFarland. We read your text. All right. Roger. I see what he's saying. I get it now. I'm sorry, Robert. I apologize. He says Culver's is not fast food. Your apps, see, it's quality because you usually have to wait a little bit longer. So yes, I'm sorry, Robert. I absolutely 100% agree with you. I said in the first hour, we know it's better. What's better is Culver's, but what's worse, the Whopper or the Big Mac? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Roger in Stevens Point, listening in, says the Big Mac is worse. The special sauce is gross. What else here? Cam and Appleton, as an ex-professional.
The Whopper is the worst flavor-wise, but you can get 6 Whoppers for $15 if you have coupons, including 6 fries.
I did not know that. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Ollie, listening in the beautiful North Woods. Ollie, Whopper or Big Mac? What's worse?
Oh, the Big Mac is much worse. Not enough meat, and I am like the gentleman before, the sauce stinks.
Not a fan of the sauce.
Although I have to admit that I always loved the Whopper when they were actually flame broiled.
Oh, yes. Right?
They're not the same anymore as they used to be, but they're still much better than a Big Mac.
Yeah, all right. Very good. Very good, Ollie. I appreciate it.
Could I just take a minute
Yes.
to remind everybody about the March for Veterans that is being held in Appleton this evening. If you're in the area, get on down there and support our vets. They deserve it.
Absolutely. What time does that start? You know, Ollie in Appleton?
It starts, I believe, at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And runs till 7:30. And it's a bipartisan, peaceful protest.
Well, that's great. No, we always appreciate honoring our veterans, and absolutely on this D-Day, Ollie. Thank you very much for that reminder. Appleton tonight. Thanks, Ollie, for that reminder. Dana in La Crosse participating in our What's Worse, the Whopper or the Big Mac, says actually they're both pretty terrible, but I can enjoy either one as well. Depending on my appetite and how well it's prepared that day. All right. Chris, listening in Janesville, Wisconsin. By the way, the city of the city of Parks, as I learned on Pete Schwaba's show. Says Chris in Janesville says, hands down, the Big Mac is worse. But now that McDonald's lawyers are trying to distance themselves from Trump, maybe I'll change. I did not know that, Chris. I did not know that. Steve, listening on WMDX in Milwaukee, says the Big Mac is definitely worse. Wow, this is really trending one way here. Judy, listening in Lodi, says the Big Mac is worse because it has too much bread. I prefer more meat versus the extra bread. Judy from Lodi. I'm with you there on Judy. Brian in Green Bay, listening on WMDX, but he's in Green Bay, home of WGBW. We're going to be up there broadcasting next Friday from GBW. Cannot wait for that. Says both sandwiches give me the bathroom. I'll just say that. Need to use the restroom after that. Mike, there we go. Mike, listening on WGBW in Green Bay, says, I don't eat burgers, but I certainly enjoy a Whopper from time to time. This is pretty good. What's worse, the Whopper or the Big Mac? Greg in Genesee Depot, Big Mac. Whopper is much better. So the Big Mac is worse. Whopper is much better. Really, I can't afford either one right now. Isn't that the truth?
They keep jacking up the prices.
I think I maybe told this story a while back, but I don't know. Long story super short. When I was at UW Richland, our soccer coach there, Tracy Krieger, God rest his soul, he loved Burger King. And we would go to, and I would usually go like a Whopper Junior. And so I hadn't been in a Burger King in years. And I don't know why, a few months back, it's the smell. That's what it was. I was in the neighborhood and that smell got me. I'm like, so I got a Whopper Junior, a fry, and either a small or medium drink. And it was like over $10.
Yeah, it's expensive now.
And I thought, I can go to Culver's and get a single butter burger, fries, and a soda for like $7, $7.50, something like that.
And it's way better.
Yeah. I can't believe how much Burger King, McDonald's, those places have really jacked up the prices.
Yeah, if you want to go there to either of those places, you have to use coupons or the app that they have to make it more reasonably priced. Otherwise, it's just insane.
See, that's another reason I like Culver's better, is because you get real live, awesome human beings taking your order. And now, occasionally I go to McDonald's because I love their breakfast bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit.
They are good. Those are good.
And so about 2 times a year, I have a fillet of fish. I get a hankering for a McDonald's fillet of fish. But now you go into most McDonald's, there's like one live person and 3 or 4 touchscreen kiosks you have to order through. And I'm like, I did not, it was my understanding that AI technology was not going to be required to place my order. Culver's, by the way, if you want to, you can place an order through their app now.
I've not done it.
You can see a real human or that. What's worse, the Whopper or the Big Mac? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Cameron Appleton says Culver's also has a great shrimp basket. Yes, they certainly do. Robert McFarland, I'll occasionally order Culver's online when the line outside is ungodly long. Sometimes I'll even order online when I'm in line.
That works.
You
Just
can
tell
do
them
that
you ordered.
too. All right, Sommers, what's worse, Whopper or Big Mac?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Whopper because Burger King does not agree with me. I'll leave it at that.
Right.
Not that I like Big Macs. I've only had one. And yeah, I agree with what people are saying. I would prefer to have a better meat ratio there than mostly bread.
Michael in Tosa, listening to WMDX, says the Big Mac is worse. It is a bun and lettuce with a tiny meat patty. The Whopper has the meat.
No, you can't say that. Arby's
Right.
owns that.
Arby's, we have the meat. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you, Zombers, on this one. I'm gonna agree with most of our listeners today. I'm gonna say the Big Mac is worse for the aforementioned reasons.
Maybe I would agree if I could eat a Whopper, but I'm not going to try it.
And I agree with Ollie when they used to do the whole char broil thing. They have it like on a conveyor belt over flames. They were better then. But like I said before, the prices on the Whoppers have just gone crazy. And also they don't do the whole, I miss like the Crown and the actual Burger King. It used to be a thing. They used to have a king that was Burger King. Just like you don't see Ronald McDonald anymore. You don't see Grimace.
You see Grimace.
Do you see Grimace?
Yeah, they recently they did a thing on social media where they said they were going to have a Grimace burger, but you could at least get the Grimace meal.
The Hamburglar.
Hamburger? Yeah, they're bringing those back a little bit.
Are they really? Well, good for them. All right, thanks for playing along. We'll come back with some news headlines after this. It's the Allbaugh Show for a Friday, TGIF, on the Civic Media Radio Network.
WMDX.
Hi, Gordy Kopke here. When I first invited folks to my farm 40 years ago, I could never have dreamed that would become the area's largest
Tony
greenhouse.
says Whopper's worse
With a
because I don't
focus
support the
on
monarchy.
quality plants at reasonable prices and a special emphasis on customer service, we have received the People's Choice Award as Madison area's best greenhouse. Located 2 miles east of Oregon in the beautiful town of Dunn, I invite you out to see why we are not only the area's largest greenhouse, but also the best.
It's patio time in Madison. Let's head to the Lazy Oaf Lounge. Kick off spring with a cold one with friends on the Lazy Oaf patio. During Milwaukee baseball games, get half off of wing baskets. Plus, the Lazy Oaf Lounge is a great place for lunch with great daily specials, soups made from scratch, and fast, friendly service. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road in Madison. Find specials, menus, and more at lazyoaflounge.com.
Turn up the summer vibes at Chula Vista Resort, your playground for summer dreams, water parks, and sun-soaked pools. Epic water slides, soaring zip lines, and world-class golf. Dine in the #1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Chula Vista Resort. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com.
Chula Vista Resort is one of the top 10 indoor water parks in the USA with 26 water slides over 1.5 miles long. Find out more at chulavistaresort.com.
Medicare loses about $60 billion annually to fraud, errors, and abuse. June 2nd through the 8th is Medicare Fraud Prevention Week, focusing on the actions everyone can take to prevent, detect, and report Medicare fraud. Learn more by liking and following Wisconsin Senior Medicare Patrol on Facebook. Then visit our website, smpwi.org. For information and advice, remember, Wisconsin Senior Medicare Patrol.
Found an injured, sick, or orphaned wild animal? Dane County Humane Society's Wildlife Center can help. Call 608-287-3235 or
15
visit
seconds.
giveshelter.org.
Whopper, 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 Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper, Impossible or Bacon Whopper, I rule this day. And BK, have it your way.
haven't heard that in a long time. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 now, past the hour of 3 o'clock. Our What's Worse today, Whopper versus Big Mac.
It
wasn't even close.
Yeah, Big Mac is worse, according to
our listeners. Yeah. So well done, Zommers. Welcome back to the show. Some breaking news across the wires at this hour, according to many news sources. This one is from CNN. Kilmar Umbrego Garcia, the Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador in March, has been returned to the United States only to face federal criminal charges, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi this afternoon. For months, the Trump administration has been locked into an intense standoff with federal judiciary over court orders for the government to, quote-unquote, facilitate Umbrego Garcia's return from El Salvador, where he was mistakenly deported in mid-March, in a situation that one federal judge warned could present a, quote, incipient crisis, unquote, between the two branches. Umbrego Garcia has been now indicted on 2 criminal charges in the Middle District of Tennessee: conspiracy to unlawfully transport illegal aliens for financial gain and unlawful transportation of illegal aliens for financial gain. I'm going to step away from the story. I'm not sure. Maggie Dawn may go into this more in her show. She's certainly an attorney. And Jim Santel on Amicus, a law review, will most certainly be talking about this tomorrow on Saturday at 9 o'clock. But this, what it appears now, and pun intended, that the administration has trumped up federal charges against Umbrego Garcia over something that he was already found essentially innocent of in the local courts. So now Trump has complied, the administration has complied with the judicial order to bring Umbrego Garcia back to the U.S. from El Salvador, but now they've just created new charges for him on the federal level to send him right back to El Salvador. So disturbing, to say the least. We'll, as I said, maintain and continue to watch this to have more updates, but that is the breaking news at this hour. Kilmar Umbrego Garcia has been returned to the United States from El Salvador, but now faces at least 2 criminal charges at the federal level. Want to get to this. Tariffs, the Trump tariffs, and what's happening in D.C. And a lot of times these are tough to understand. But once in a while, somebody in Congress gets it right, and as our former longtime judge down in, speaking of Tennessee, Judge Weissman, the late, great Judge Weissman, like to say it, put it down there where the chickens can get at it. Want to play you this clip now from Representative Madeline Dean of Michigan, who is...
No, of Pennsylvania.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Thank you for the correction. Of Pennsylvania, who is questioning Secretary Howard Lutnick on the tariffs. And she has some bananas in front of her. And this is simple to understand, and it gets the point across. Here is his testimony in Congress.
What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
But as countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. As countries do deals with us, that will go to zero.
But the cost is on the American consumer now and on the businesses with the confusion now. Mr. Secretary, I believe you know better. I believe you recognize that a trade deficit is not something to fear. I believe you know that predictability, stability is essential for businesses. I wish you would show that truth to this administration. And I yield back.
Time of the gentlelady is expired.
Would you mind, Mr. Chairman, if I make one quick comment to the end? Would that be okay?
I'm sorry?
Would you mind if I make one quick comment to the representative?
Sure. Please.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't
so
produce
the concept
bananas in
of
America.
Building in America and paying no tariff
We cannot,
is very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting
build
for imports,
bananas in America.
Time of the gentlelady.
Secretary Lutnick I guess just pieced. I don't know. I mean, he could not have dug himself a deeper hole when Congresswoman Dean makes her point. We can't build or grow bananas in the United States. And so when Wisconsinites are going to the store and you're paying more for bananas or avocados or whatever it might be, just remember it all goes back to the Trump tariff. Let's go to the phone lines quickly, 855-752-4842. Gene, listening up in beautiful Eau Claire. I learned, Gene, this week, did you know this? That Eau Claire's nickname is City of Bridges. Gene? Gene is here. Gene is not here. 855. Apparently, Gene, I hope she hasn't fallen off a bridge. I was on Schwaba's show. We had this contest, this quiz between Schwaba and I on Nightlight that Conrad put together. I won it by the slimmest of margins. I won it by one answer. But Schwaba beat me on that one. That I did not know that Eau Claire is nicknamed the City of Bridges. Maybe we can sneak this in quick. Let's go to Mark in Perdisac. Mark, about 30 seconds. It's yours. What say you?
Yeah, well, let's, Licknut or whatever is Nutlick. He's just a fool anyway. But for Donald Trump, let's get back to Donald Trump and for his D-Day acknowledgement. He didn't acknowledge that there was anybody else other than the Americans, British and the Canadians in the forces on D-Day, and that we have to acknowledge that the Poles were there, the French were there, all the Nazi-occupied countries that were part of the alliance were there, and he could have actually included them. But
absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Up against the clock. Sorry, my friend. Stay tuned. Wild and wacky news for our friend Peter Rapine from E-Bomb's World next on the Allbaugh Show. Don't go anywhere on Civic Media.
Howard Wicknut.
0.7 WMDS.
That's the best call of the week.
I can't believe I didn't. I didn't think of
all
that.
on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Oh my goodness.
Wisconsin farmers are just wrapping up
I don't know.
It's right there,
season,
though.
but in other areas of the U.S., harvest has begun.
Whoa!
What's up, guys?
What? Wait a minute. For those watching on the stream, already I can see the effect of Miss Rapine's new significant other, because look, he's styled. His hair is styled. He has a big smile. He's looking fantastic.
What's up, Todd?
How are you doing?
Good, man.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm meeting the lady in. I leave tomorrow for Europe, so I had to get a clean cut.
Ooh, that's right. That's right. Wow, I'm very excited for you.
Thank you. I'm super excited too. I'm also looking forward to get a couple days off work, which would be nice.
Right, exactly. Now, what are you drinking out of there?
It's just like a.
It looks like a dish I used to get my dog. Like a plastic bowl.
My cups are dirty. It's one of those like takeout things that you put leftovers in.
But look how environmentally friendly Peter Rapine is, because he could have just gotten like a styrofoam or disposable cup, but no, he is using a reusable vessel.
I think I probably got it from like some takeout place. We have some really good stuff in here today. Some good audio. Did you guys talk much about the Trump Elon fallout?
We started with that, yes, but we can't get enough.
We don't have to think. We can maybe end with that.
Fine.
We can like read a couple.
All right,
tweets
sure.
Yeah, we haven't really read a lot of the tweets.
No, we haven't read it. We just
any.
talked about it, the larger sentence.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a caller call Secretary Howard Lutnick Secretary Nutlick.
Instead of Lutnick, he called him Licknut.
Licknut.
So we're off and running.
Yeah, it's a great day. Oh yeah, there's some really dumb and funny ones this week. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun one.
There's one you didn't mark the audio for the 2 Secret Service agents, but I know there is audio. Do we want to use at least the first one where like she's calling in for backup?
Yeah, I think she says I'm going to kick her ass in that, if that's
She
fine.
does, but so Todd, I guess that's up to you.
Ass is permissible, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
We
So
can
it
do
should
ass.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can't do ass on the air.
Well,
we can
speak about it.
Wouldn't that be a show?
I think you'd have to paywall that. Yeah.
Right. Stop by for the old OnlyFans show after the show.
Exactly. Yeah, the show after the show.
Skies today with calm winds and comfortable temperatures reaching highs in the mid-70s. Tonight, it'll be partly cloudy, lows falling to the mid-50s. And tomorrow, a repeat of today. And on Sunday, rain rolls in. It looks to linger into our Monday as well. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 77 degrees at our studios.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
The soap scientists
Nightlife with
found a
Pete
way to
Schwaba.
incorporate Sydney Sweeney's actual bath water into the soap. What if she doesn't smell good? I know she's beautiful.
It smells terrible.
What if she stinks? And no one is going to tell her that because she's Sydney Sweeney. Here's an open invitation to Sydney Sweeney. Come by the Nightlight Studios. I'll smell you and let you know if this is a good product.
Maybe drop off,
and give us a few bucks.
Yes. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Michael Negron of the Small Business Majority.
The Trump administration thinks that they're doing solid for small business with their policies. And so having business owners out there talking about how, whether it's tariffs, whether it's potential cuts.
Radio Network. It is 35 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on a beautiful TGIF Friday afternoon, June 6th. After a long week of a fire hose of information, as they say, which can get depressing and overwhelming, what we want to end the show on is something we can laugh, we can relax, hang out with somebody we like. There's no better person to do that than our ongoing contributor, our friend. He's the managing editor of E-Bombs World, with the bi-weekly Week in Review, Mr. Peter Rapine, live from New York. How are you, Peter?
Doing great, Todd. It's Friday, so nothing to complain about. And it's been a long, crazy week of news, so we should have a great show.
Now, before we get into this, because you've been open about this, we appreciate that. People have asked because they say, we hope Peter's happy. And you've, a while back, you met a wonderful young woman on a vacation in Mexico. And when you came on, for those watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the like, a very handsome, groomed Peter Rapine. What's all this about?
Well, I'm meeting her in Zurich on Sunday, so I had to get a clean haircut.
As one does. Oh, I'm meeting my new girlfriend in Zurich.
Which, yes, to be clear, me playing Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River has nothing to do with that. It's about a different, it's about a breakup that the president is going through.
No. Peter's fine. He's not going to.
Yes, exactly.
I just think you look happy. And
I am.
And me, along with my audience, we want you to be happy because we love hanging out with you.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that.
Well, have a great trip.
Yeah, I will. It'll be nice to get away, unplug for a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's been crazy out there, as you probably know.
It's been absolutely crazy. So let's get into it, Peter. All these headlines can be found at eBombs, EBAUMS world.com. And again, this is not fiction. This is not made up stuff. This isn't writers in a room. This is actual wacky behavior of actual wacky humans.
Yes. I like to say that we're funny, but we're not this funny. And clearly the biggest story of the week, something you guys have probably already talked about. Elon and Trump are having their breakup, their fallout. And I think maybe the last couple of minutes of the show, we'll read some of our favorite tweets. I don't know how much you guys have said yet. Basically, Elon called Trump a pedophile, and then word is going out around that Steve Bannon is going to try to convince Trump to deport him.
We played the cut at the top of the show from Bannon on his show last night, calling exactly for that. It's gotten real.
Let them fight. Just let them fight.
Right?
We don't have to. We don't have to be part of it. But one of my favorite stories this week comes from TikTok, like some of my favorite stories always do. And Gen Z, you know, we talk about them from time to time. They don't drink as much. They kind of do things their own way. They're blazing new trails. But there's a new trend going on. So headline reads, TikTokers are calling bars before going there to, quote, check the vibe.
TikTokers are calling bars before going there to, quote unquote, check the vibe. And for those that might not know it, that's kind of the new Gen Z phrase for vibing and checking. Kind of like, you know, what's the feeling? What's going on? Like,
yeah. What's the energy like?
The energy. That's a good word. Yeah.
And in one of the videos, 21-year-old, I think she's British, lady calls the bar and she asks, "Are there any handsome men there worth coming down to see?" So a warning has gone out among bars. So be prepared for Gen Z kids to call you and ask you what the vibe is like.
And do we have audio with this one?
We did.
Is there audio of Zombers for this or no? Yes, there is. All right, here we go. So here's some audio now. Gen Zers checking out the vibe.
Hello. I was just wondering, like, is there any good crack in the pub tonight? Like, is there any hot ones that be worth coming down to see?
2 seconds now, let me tell you.
Okay, perfect.
Now they're having fun with this, but the cool thing is the person on the other end of the phone is having fun too.
Exactly. Yeah, loads of them. Come on down, right? And what is she going to say? No, don't come to my bar.
Right. And if they get there is nobody that's hot. She's going to say, "Well, you just missed him."
You just missed him, exactly. But it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek trend. Who knows how serious the kids are about it? But give it a shot. You never know; it might work out for you. Call a bar that you've never been to before and ask, "Hey, what's the vibe like?"
What's the vibe? What's going on there? And see, if I were running the bar and say, "What vibe are you looking for?"
Yeah,
and then I'd just say, "Yeah, that's the vibe."
Exactly.
That was great. All right, very good. Next headline.
So this video is about a week old, and it was shot on a Delta flight that was delayed, and they're sitting there on the tarmac waiting to take off. And someone had the bright idea of allowing a young girl to sing into the PA system. So headline reads, "People are livid that a child sang Disney songs over a plane intercom."
People are livid that a child sang Disney songs over a plane intercom.
And the audio for this one speaks for itself.
All right, here we go.
No matter how hard I try, every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea. It calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know.
And she just keeps going.
Right. So, I mean,
Uninterrupted.
the voice isn't that bad.
No, she's not terrible.
I think if I'm on a plane and the thing is delayed and I'm ticked off because now I'm going to miss my connecting flight, the last thing I need is a 9-year-old singing Disney songs.
Yes, specifically Moana songs. Not that I think that makes it worse or better. That's just a little detail. But yeah, if you're delayed, this is the last thing you want to hear. And I think the woman who filmed the video and posted it on TikTok was not upset. And clearly no one in the plane is yelling or screaming or telling her to stop. But when the video went on to Twitter, that's where people got their pitchforks and were ready to burn down this Delta flight.
Zombers, you have something?
I think one of my favorite parts of the video is there's somebody sitting in the row right behind her who puts on headphones at the beginning and at the end it's just like, I give up, and takes it back off.
I mean, yeah, you can't.
Nothing against the young girl. I mean, she has a fine voice, but and I think it would have been fine to sing like, "Hey, do you want to sing one line or one stanza, but it just keeps going.
It keeps going. And yeah, you can't yell over a young girl singing into into anything. You can't do that. You're not going to get any points from anyone doing that. So you kind of have to sit down and take it.
There's part of me that's saying, well, she's saying, let it go. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Let it go. Now, that would have been kind of funny. Just the chorus. All right. Next headline. We're talking with Peter Rapine, managing editor of EPOM's World, with our bi-weekly look at the wild and wacky week in review. Next headline, Peter.
And this one comes to us from France. France's budget minister caught eating her boogers on TV.
France's budget minister got caught eating her boogers on TV. Explain, Peter Rapine.
The audio for this isn't too great, so I'm going to have to do my best to paint you the picture. She puts her finger up her nose and then puts that finger in her mouth directly afterwards.
Oh my! And she's like, it's not like in a corner. She's like up in front addressing Parliament or whatever they have over there.
Yeah. She's I assume that's what it is. It's a hearing of some kind, and she clearly was a little hungry. I'm not sure if that's a French delicacy, but I do know they like to eat some funky things over there. Yeah,
escargot.
It's good.
I mean, I've been in public a lot and worked in government, and especially when you're at a hearing like that, be aware, be self. I mean, it's just in my opinion, it's a disgusting. I don't want to call it a habit, but some people do this, and I think it's just gross.
I think I remember the last time I ate a booger. I think I was like,
you've done that
as a kid, sure, yeah. I think maybe like 7 or 8 or 9, and I did it, and I was like, yeah, I've lost the taste for this.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just disgusting. All right. Thanks for, I do need to lose weight, Peter, so thank you with that. I will not be eating anything else this afternoon. All right, next headline.
Next headline, 2 Secret Service agents beat the crap out of each other outside Obama's house.
2? So these are 2 Secret Service agents beating the crap out of each other outside of Obama's house. Explain what's going on here.
So the woman or person who was supposed to relieve a Secret Service agent of her duty was late for her shift. And there's audio here of one of the Secret Service agents calling into the Secret Service dispatch saying, "You better tell her to get down here immediately or I'm going to whoop her ASS." And we have the audio for it.
All right, now here we go.
Immediately before I whoop the girl's ass.
And there's video of the 2 agents fighting when the one agent does show up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking. He's not just fighting; they're pushing each other up against a Secret Service car.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Because I mean, former presidents get Secret Service for their entire life, but these folks, I mean, it's not like Obama is the current sitting president. Things should be pretty calm, but clearly the one agent was very late for her shift.
She must have had a date or was just getting tired and grumpy and wanted to go home and go to bed. But yeah, not what you'd expect from the Secret Service for them to beat each other up.
She had to catch a plane to Zurich. I'm not sure what she was doing. That's a little disturbing. I mean, if I'm President Obama, maybe we should get a couple of new Secret Service people.
Yeah, you'd imagine that if you're a Secret Service, you'd have a level head. She must have really, really been late. I don't know how long I would have had to wait. It would have been like 3 hours plus some young girl in the back seat singing Moana for me to get that mad.
All right, next headline, Peter Rapine.
Next headline. There was a pigeon loose in a cabin of a Delta flight last week.
There is a pigeon loose in the cabin of a Delta flight. You know how much we love a good animal story here.
Yeah. The audio on this one is fun. It's just a bunch of people screaming because they're afraid of the pigeon flying around. And there's one Good Samaritan who has stood up in the center aisle, and he has his jacket out. And it appears like he catches it, though it's kind of hard to tell because the video is not the best quality. But you want to hear the screams of all these passengers. It's pretty good.
Well, we got nothing else to do on a Friday. Let's hear some screams on a Delta flight as a loose pigeon is snuck its way on board. Here we go. a snake on a plane.
Yeah, you think it was a bomb or something bad.
It's a pigeon.
But it probably got on through like the food service. There's no way it got through the airport,
No.
when they load on the hot meals or whatever.
Right.
But also imagine wherever that pigeon is going, it gets off the plane. It's like, I don't know where the hell I am. Like, where am I? I'm in Zurich. What am I doing here?
Thank you for bringing that up. Because what about the poor pigeon who now has no idea where it's at?
Yeah.
It hasn't got a nest, a partner, it doesn't know where to get food.
Yeah.
It's in a foreign land.
Well, yeah, you hear that woman screaming. Imagine how the pigeon feels. Imagine what the pigeon is thinking. Like, oh, shit.
Shoot. Yes, exactly. All right, next headline. Here we go. Oh, no, sorry. Got to take a break. Come back. We're going to do a little break. Come back. More headlines with Peter Rapine after this. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Think of the poor pigeons.
On air
Think
and
of the
streaming
poor
on the
pigeon.
Civic Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race.
All right,
just
we'll have
taking
about
my practice.
6.5, 7 minutes, more or less.
So I got checked
Cool.
out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation.
We could do
Lori and
KFC. Sorry, go.
I was going to say, Lori and Hayward says, there you go, Todd. Now you have the next what's worse, burgers or boogers? Nicely done, Lori. That's not even a question for me.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
I guess it depends if they're flame broiled.
Glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and
Have you been to Zurich before?
I've not, no. I've never been to Switzerland or Germany.
Wow.
So two firsts for me.
My recommendation for food, a Swiss burger. I've never been to Europe, so what do I know?
I know.
What?
No, I know Zurich is really expensive, so I'm not actually looking forward to that.
I've heard it's beautiful, though, for people that actually went. The closest I've gotten to Europe was Epcot at Walt Disney World.
Oh, really? Hey, you should get over there. Flights aren't too bad.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners.
Do you leave tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, it's tomorrow afternoon.
Wow, that's exciting.
I know. Yeah. I can't wait.
And as good as it's not an early morning flight, so that's nice.
No, yeah.
Are you flying? Hopefully not out of Newark.
No, though I landed in Newark a month or so ago, and I was definitely terrified.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. It was right when all the news was coming out, and I was like, all right, well.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With 15 years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own.
I am so thankful it's Friday. It's been a long week for me, Peter.
It has been long. Did you guys catch the Pacers OKC last night?
I caught a little bit of it. I did not see the ending live, but I saw the final shot. Incredible.
Those Pacers are blessed.
I'm salty because they're the ones that beat our Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's always what happens with Wisconsin teams is they end up losing in whatever playoff it is to the eventual champion.
Well, do you think they're going to be able to keep Giannis, or is he going to move on?
I don't know. I'm hopeful.
20 seconds.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, shame about Dame.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC and CBS News, followed by check of weather, sports with a great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, and then another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show from 4 until 6, followed by our great friend Pete Schwaba and Conrad and Nightlight from 6 until 8, Native Roots Radio with Robert Pilot, and then Rick Smith Across America. Don't forget the Brewers at home against the Padres tonight across several stations on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm going down on Sunday. And don't forget it's being shown on the Roku Sports Channel. And if you stick around after the Roku Sports Channel, you can see for free, just a bit outside, the story of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers. So a little plug for them for their great movie. Right now we have the great Peter Rapine. He is the managing editor of EPOM's World with his bi-weekly look at the week in review before he jets off to Tony, Switzerland with a pigeon on board. All right, Peter Rapine, next headline.
Well, I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about how people were trolling AI drive-thrus with insane orders. Well, this one comes to us from Australia. KFC installed AI drive-thrus in Australia, but they can't understand Australian accents.
KFC installed AI drive-thrus in Australia, but they can't understand the Aussie accents. Explain.
This one was cooked up in a lab specifically for me. There's a bunch of videos on TikTok of Australians getting very upset as they're trying to order their KFC. Specifically trying to order barbecue seems to be a phrase that the AI assistant doesn't really register coming from them. And we have a great audio for this one.
All right, before we play it, just to be clear, this is not people trying to intentionally punk like those other videos trying to mess it up. These are just actual Australians just trying to put in a regular old order at KFC in Australia.
Exactly.
All right, here we go. Here's the audio.
Can I please get a slider?
Which slider would you like?
Barbecue.
Okay.
Delete the barbecue sauces.
Got it.
No. Delete the add-on of sauces.
By the way, I love a great Australian accent from a true Aussie like that. But what's KFC thinking? Don't they test this out with real Australians before they put it into actual function?
I mean, you would assume so, but that doesn't mean they actually did that. Honestly, no idea. I just it's just funny watching Australians and hearing Australians go no. You would assume that they would have tested it out, but probably not. It probably was just like a model that they put an Aussie accent on, and it was just trained off of Americans.
I mean, just another example. Forget AI. Have real humans. That's my one.
Yeah. No, exactly.
By the way, what's worse, Big Macs or Whoppers?
What's worse, Whopper?
Really?
Yeah.
Any particular reason?
I've had more Big Macs in my life than Whoppers.
Really? All right.
So it's
that was our question earlier today. Our what's worse question, written by CP, by the way. All right. Next headline.
Dude hits dance moves in school parking lot before stealing $5,000 worth of laptops.
A dude hits dance moves in a school parking lot before stealing $5,000 worth of laptops. What up?
So this story also comes to us from Australia, specifically Melbourne, where the man has not been caught. A burglar broke into a school and stole a bunch of laptops from the school. But before he broke in and stole the laptops, he was caught on CCTV camera busting some moves in the parking lot.
These robbers are just not smart. Okay, here we go.
Police in Victoria are seeking assistance identifying a burglar who had a temporary dance party in a school car park. The man arrived at a Sunbury school about 1:10 in the morning before being captured on CCTV busting a move.
And it's hard to tell what move he's doing. Yeah. It's not quite like it's not the gritty, which is I know a big popular dance move for like kids today. He's just kind of freestyling it, which is bold because he also got away with the crime, or at least so far has gotten away with the crime.
He's like in a tracksuit His face is uncovered. His headlights are on, so everybody could clearly see who it is. And he's doing, some kind of bad ballet versus, I don't know, hip hop, and with a flashlight. I mean, it's like, what, did the guy take a gummy before he decided to do a robbery? I don't know.
The bravest robbery, yeah. That you only do that when you know there's zero chance you're going to get caught, I guess.
Right. And the fact the guy is still in the loose. All right, next headline. We're about a minute left.
Next headline. All right. All the best reactions to the Trump-Elon fallout. What a glorious week it was, guys. Yesterday was one of the best days on the internet since 2016. I'm just going to rapid fire a couple of these things off.
Please, yeah.
From Josh Sorby, this messy Trump-Musk breakup is truly the gayest thing about Pride Month.
Okay, very good. Yes. Go ahead, next one.
And this was the Elon bomb that Elon tweeted that really sent it all over the edge. Elon tweets, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. And then he ends it with, have a nice day, DJT.
And that's really when things blew up.
Yes.
When Elon basically confirms that Trump's in the Epstein files, that's when, okay, this is serious now.
And then from Franklin Leonard, the funniest possible outcome is definitely Trump deporting him.
And that's real, too. They're looking at that. They're thinking of it.
They're actually trying to do it. And then from Cat Turd, everyone's favorite cat, turd, everyone needs to calm the F down.
It's out of control. Truth is stranger than fiction. Peter Rapine always proves that with wacky human behavior. That's the Week in Review at EPOM's World. Peter, thank you very much. Safe travels, my friend, over to Europe. We'll see you when you get back.
Thanks, Todd. Take care.
All right,
see you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Also appreciate Brady Ewing being here as well. Zommers, as always, and all of you for listening. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you next week.
We had some good stuff there.
That was good. That was fun. All right, everybody, we appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Adios.